25 years ago this week, February 3rd, 1989, was the second live main event special on NBC. And this was also a very noteworthy show because this was the show that featured the split of the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. They had been partners for many, many months leading up to this. And, you know, Miss Elizabeth had her two guys, and they would pose at the end of their matches, and they were very popular act together. But they were building in little wrinkles here and there, not unlike what they're doing now with the Shield. It's been a slow build to the eventual breakup. Kind of the same thing with the Mega Powers. You could see the seeds of jealousy in Macho Man whenever Hogan would be posing with Savage's wife. I think anybody in Macho Man's shoes would have felt the same way. I always said Hulk Hogan, when you really look at it in that storyline, was the real heel. Because the way this guy would act, I think it was when they won their Survivor Series match in '88, Savage was just beaten down badly by the heels. Hogan wins. Hogan's celebrating. He picks up Elizabeth. I think he may have had his hand on her ass. I mean, if I'm Randy Savage, I want to tear this guy's head off his shoulders. So I think Savage in this storyline had every reason to be jealous, and I always looked at Hogan almost as the heel. But, you know, folklore has it that it was all Elizabeth's idea, the whole concept of the Mega Powers alliance, and then them breaking up and having Elizabeth really be the driving force between them supposedly was all her idea, which if it was, she was a very smart lady, because that is one of the most successful, famous angles in the history of WWE. I'm a big, big fan of the Mega Powers, and I'm a big, big fan of the angle they did on this show. It was the Mega Powers against Big Boss Man and Akeem, the Twin Towers. They do the match. Elizabeth takes a wicked bump. And Elizabeth never took bumps back then, but she took a hell of a bump because what happened is Akeem threw Savage out of the ring. He threw him out with such velocity and such force. Savage just, I mean, he annihilated Elizabeth. He completely wiped her out. So now both of them are down. Hogan goes over. He doesn't know who to check on. And he decides, I'm going to pick up Elizabeth and I'm going to carry her to the back. And meanwhile, Savage already got back in the ring. Now he's all left by himself. He's getting the shit kicked out of him by the Twin Towers. The camera follows Hogan backstage. They put Elizabeth on a stretcher. Instead of going back to help his partner, he stays with her. So the camera follows them into the the medical area. We see some really, really poor acting by Hulk Hogan, including a miscue on the live special. It may be edited out if you find it on YouTube. But on the live special, when they came back from commercial, they showed Hogan crouched down on his knees, holding Elizabeth's hand, like praying that she survives, I guess. And all the crying and the weeping and everything that he was doing before, he stopped, and you can hear him mumble under his breath, like, give me a countdown or something. So he was waiting for a countdown to know when they were back on the air, not realizing they were already back on the air, and then he started crying all of a sudden. So that was kind of embarrassing. But Elizabeth is like, no, I'm okay, go back out there, Randy needs you. And so he goes back out to the ring, and he wants the tag. Savage eventually gives him the tag, and he slaps the taste right out of his mouth. And that's the heel turn for Randy Savage. He leaves Hogan high and dry. Of course, Hogan's Hogan, so he wins anyway. Goes backstage after the match. He's looking for Savage. Where is he? He finds him in the medical area, and they have their big face-off. Savage is like, you've got lust for Elizabeth. I know you. I know what's been going on. I'm playing second fiddle to both of you guys. And Savage waffles Hogan with the title belt. There's another miscue where Brutus Beefcake comes into camera view a little too early. And then suddenly he disappears. Another 10 seconds go by. Savage is threatening to splatter Elizabeth all over Hogan, because now Elizabeth is huddled over Hogan trying to shield him. And Savage is like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to hit you and him with the belt. Then Beefcake comes back into view, and he saves them. And anyway, the angle was very, very well done. The funny part about it is also when it was over and Hogan recovers, Hogan is stalking the hallways back. I mean, he is infuriated. He wants Randy Savage, and he's looking for Savage. Where is Macho Man? Where is Macho Man? And the two guys that Hogan practically assaults, or accosts maybe is the right word for it, while looking for Savage, he kind of grabs them, throws them against the wall. The two guys, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. That always makes me laugh when I think back to that. A young Bret Hart and a young Shawn Michaels were harassed in the locker room, almost assaulted by Hulk Hogan in search of the Macho Man. So My favorite angle probably of all time in wrestling. If you've never seen it, you're missing out. I don't know how it would be for a new fan to go back and watch that now. Maybe it would be kind of goofy. It is kind of goofy, but still a great angle and made them a lot of money.